Namaste. I wanted to share a little brief story before we go into our relaxation because we happen to be practicing on the tailwinds of a full moon that we had yesterday. And the full moon that we had yesterday in this month of November was called the Beaver Moon because Native Americans often called the moons by whatever kind of cycles were happening in nature. And this is the time where beavers are still preparing for the winter and building up the dams and collecting the food in preparation. But I don't want to talk about the beaver or the moon. I want to talk about a story that if you look at ancient cultures or ancient stories and myths, sometimes I try to explain the things that happen in nature. And that's the case in this particular story that stems from India. And out Chandra, which is the moon god. So if you think about our post Chandrasana, the crescent moon shape, it stems from this particular deity. Well, the story goes that Chandra was beautiful and radiant and full of so much glory and pretty much stayed in this aspect of the full moon that is so luminous and that nature depends on. And the story goes that he was ready to marry and he had been having discussions with Daksha, and Daksha happened to have 27 daughters. And these 27 daughters represent the stars that are in some sort of alignment with the moon. And there's a special term for it. I think it's called nakshatra, if I'm saying that correctly. And these 27 daughters were going to marry Chandra under the condition from the father Daksha, who was willing to allow this to happen, that he would love all of his daughters equally and would spend the same amount of time with each one so there wouldn't be any jealousy or any sibling rivalry with this marriage. So he agreed. And he agreed, and there was one point where a sage's wife, Tara, came to visit Chandra, and she became mesmerized by his beauty, by his glory, and did not want to leave his presence. Well, her husband, which was a sage, um, only depended on his wife to participate in ceremony and ritual and offerings. And he couldn't do this without his beloved because he felt like it needed to stem from both the husband and the wife, the man and the woman. And so he contacted Tara to come back, to come home. And she didn't want to come home. So he got really upset and went to Indra, the god of the skies, and he complained about Tara not coming back and him not being able to do his ceremonies and rituals and all the things to support the gods, or even to Indra himself without his wife. So Indra came to tell Tara, look, it is your dharma, it is your duty. You must return to your husband. He's not able to do his duty unless you are with him. And she still didn't want to go. And so Indra went to Chandra and said, look, you've got to return Tara. And he said, I am not holding her against her will. She is welcome to stay or go as she pleases. Well, then the daughters went to their father because in the meantime of this, Indra had put a curse on the moon, Chandra, because he wasn't willing to send Tara back. In the meantime, Tara decides, okay, I'll return to my husband, the sage. But when she returned with child. And he knew it wasn't his. It had to belong to Chandra. So obviously her husband was upset and said, you cannot keep this child. You have to send him back to Chandra. And so she did. And the 27 wives were really upset. First of all, that he had been with Tara. Second of all, that now there was this child that wasn't any of theirs coming to live with them, but only two of the sisters were willing to take care of the child. One of them was Rohini. And Rohini took care of this child, was raising this child, didn't have any issues with this child. And Chandra started to favor her. And because he started to favor her and he wanted to spend time with this child, he was spending more time with them. And then the daughters went to the father Daksha and complained. And that went against the vow that was made. So he also cursed Chandra. And because of the curse, Chandra started to lose the radiance. He started to lose the glory, and the light started to fade and dwindle, fade and dwindle, fade and dwindle, until it wasn't lustrous anymore. So out of desperation, because he noticed through the fading of the light, through the fading of the moon, it was also affecting nature, and he knew nature depended upon the moon. So he went to Shiva in desperation. Shiva, help, and Shiva said, I can't take the curse away, but I will place what's left of you on my head. And so you'll see a depiction of this scooped version of the moon sitting on Shiva's head that represents consciousness, that represents time, but it also goes back to this story. So Shiva was able to save the moon. He said, I can't completely save you. You can't stay in that luminosity. Therefore, you can build up to that and be in all your glory, the fullness of the moon for at least one day. And then the next 15 days, the curse will come back in and the light will dwindle. So that story kind of gives us a backdrop of the way the Indian culture explained the phases, the waxing and the waning of the moon. So earlier today in the studio, I did a moon salutation. But for us in gentle restorative, I want us to restore. Okay. So we're going to start on our backs and we're going to do the yin form of Chandrasana. So let's meet on the mat and we're going to take that crescent moon shape by sending the feet over to the right side, the arms overhead and leaning to the right side, and your elbows can bend. I would not suggest crossing the feet because it can disrupt circulation. But try to keep your shoulder blades and both sides of your seat nestled down. So in yin, we call this banana asana, but the active variation is called Chandrasana. And right now, we're opening up the left side of the body, what we call the lunar panel. Go ahead and deepen the flow of your breath. Breathing in and out through the nose. To the point where you develop a nice rhythmic pace. Feeling the belly swell. Feeling it ripple up towards the heart before it travels back down. Let's hold for 3 more. On your next inhale, walk the feet to center. Bring your arms beside your body a moment. And then you're going to take your left arm and reach it across your chest, and you're going to hook your right arm below. And with that hook of the right arm, it's going to naturally squeeze it closer. Your left hand can fall limp, relaxing the fingers and wrists. And then we'll do this sequence to the other side. So now take the arms overhead again. Walk the feet to your left. Sway the upper body to the left. So I know yesterday we were really emphasizing straight arms, but in this position, in this shape, it's okay not to extend, not to be overly active, basically taking this shape and softening into it. And now opening up the solar panel. Come back to that rhythmic flow or recreate it again. Mind's eye, picture the brilliance of the full moon, maybe some scattered stars around it. And picture one of those stars being an orange red hue. That one represents Rohini. I only know that orange red goes back with Rohini because she came up in a Reiki session yesterday with someone I was working on. And the name Rohini kept coming up, and the orange red color kept coming up. But I didn't know there was a relation until afterwards. And I really didn't know it tied into this story I shared today until this morning. So think about red orange. It goes back to the first and second chakra colors. Take 3 more breaths. Go ahead and realign. Bring the arms beside you. And then we're going to stretch out that right arm like we did the left. So take the right arm across your chest. Hook the left arm underneath. Sometimes we do this from a sitting position. Your right hand can go limp. Then exhale, release. Find a block, hopefully one is close by, because we're going to bend the knees. We're going to press the feet into the floor, tuck and lift to slide the block under the sacrum. Remember that block can go 3 different heights. Find the one that's appropriate today. And then from here, you're going to lift the arms straight up towards the ceiling above you. You're going to cross the right arm over the left, bend from the elbows, and let the fingertips lower towards the floor. So you're in a supported bridge, but creating this yin looping of the arms. Please keep your face clear. On your next inhale, stretch the arms overhead again. You're going to cross the left arm down in front of the right. Bend from the elbows, let the fingertips fall away. Keep the face clear. And breathe. Let's slowly release the arms beside us and slowly extend your left leg up. Point your foot. And then exhale, slowly lower the leg down the length of your mat. Inhale, pick up the leg again. We're staying on the left side. Now flex the foot at the top. And exhale, lower the heel down to the floor with the leg staying pretty straight. Now point the foot. Inhale, lift it up and continue to point your toes. Exhale, gently lower the leg back down. Now flex the ankle and pick it up. Maintain the flexion at the top. Exhale, lower the leg down to the ground. And then walk that foot back. All right, simple, gentle movement. Inhale, right leg lifts. Pointing the toes initially. Exhale, slowly descend it down. Inhale, lift it up, providing some flexion in the ankle, especially at the top. And exhale, release again. Point the foot. Inhale, sail it up. Exhale, return it down. Last one. Flex the ankle, lift the foot skyward. Exhale, descend. And then please walk it back. All right, inhale, push the hips up. Slide the block out from below. Roll it down to your low back. Pick up your left foot and hug your left knee. Right knee stays bent, left knee draws in. I don't have to worry about you guys doing too much in this pose, but in my flow classes that are more active, I don't know, it doesn't always compute to have a soft, gentle hold. And I think that's because they're so used to being active that they feel like they have to overly squeeze the knees towards the chest. And then that can put a strain on the low back. So easy does it here. All right, let's drop the left foot, pick up the right, and hug just that singular knee in. Sacrum stays down, where you're stretching the low back but not creating any strain. The strain comes in when the buttocks really starts to curl away from the floor. So keep the glutes relaxed. All right, exhale, let's release. We're going to slide the right leg long, and we're going to take that block, fan the left knee open, and of course you can use a block, blanket, bolster, really any of the props underneath that thigh and knee. And then we're just going to relax here in reclined tree or half butterfly. I would suggest taking 3 to 10 controlled breaths before allowing the lungs to even relax. Affirming as you hold. I am allowing myself to release any stress or worry. I am allowing myself to release any stress or worry. Next inhale, let's lift the left knee, slide the leg out, and now bend the right knee, open up from the hip, and you can use that same prop or another to cross over to this side. Noticing if for any sensation, breathing through it unless it's sharp or shooting. If it's slightly dull or just a little achy, see if it will minimize as you rest and breathe. Taking at least 3 to 10 controlled breaths before relaxing the lungs. Hold for 3 more. Let's lift the right knee, slide the left foot back to join. And whatever prop you had underneath that right knee, pick it up, place it in between your knees and hover your feet. Separate your arms away from your midline like you're creating a giant T, and let your knees roll left. If the head wants to turn to the right, you can allow it. Now remove that prop unless you need it, and keep your head centered with your chest. Notice the difference you feel in your outer thigh, outer hip, and back. And you can absolutely go back to that first phase if you need it. Now turn your head to your left, bring that right arm around, pick up that prop, place it back in between your knees, and then roll back to center. Exhale, lower the knees to the right. And if it feels appropriate, turn your head to the left. Roll the head to center. Remove the block unless you need it. And stay there, relax and breathe some more. And noticing the difference with the pop and without. And let's bring the left arm over to the right. Push down through that hand to come up. All right. When we come up, our first time sitting, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So it's interesting, when I took those 3 classes in India, obviously it was just 3 classes, but we didn't do poses like warrior, um, triangle, even bound ankle. But there was one teacher who did this pose with us, but all we did was this. We just rocked the knees up and down, up and down, up and down. All 3 of the teachers were men, by the way, which didn't surprise me, because in India, years ago, yoga was created by men for men. But they were saying, anybody who has difficulty with the hips and having a lack of flexibility in the hips, he was suggesting to do this daily. Just sitting up and fluttering the knees up and down. But we are going to fold forward. So I want you to lift up now through your head and your heart, and then hinge forward from your hips. Just feel this extra stretch you're receiving, not only in the hips, but through the inner thighs. You might even feel, with the strong breath, your body slightly lifting or rocking up on the inhale, slightly descending or rocking forward on the exhale. And affirming, secure in myself, I accept whatever is. Building our way back up. Once you build up, we're going to create Stonehenge. Obviously, you could also use a piece of furniture for this, so whatever's handy, or the height that you need, and I'll show you where we're going. So again, a piece of furniture or Stonehenge. We're actually going to separate the legs here and hinge forward. So as you hinge forward, you may need the furniture or Stonehenge to be closer to you, so that you don't have to dive too far down. But if you're more flexible and want to feel it more, obviously it's pushed away from you, so that you have to lean into it. So just cater to your body. And then we'll bow the head. Next inhale, slowly back away. But if you have or are using furniture, see if you can slide your legs up underneath. And I know this little slim space between the blocks may not be big enough, but our legs were sprawled out before. So either bring your legs closer to the blocks or see if your props are available to widen the space to frame the legs. That may or may not be the case, but basically I'm trying to slim that distance. So we're doing a different pose, but it's the same approach. So again, if you can't go very far, bring the props closer to you. And then if you can lean forward, then you're going to come back down. And it can be prayer hands or brow. Now let's out. We're going to be using the bolster next. And I want to use the bolster. If you guys could just look at me a moment, give you a visual. So you're basically going to lift the way you put a block under your body, except we're going to use the bolster. So keep looking for a moment, because earlier we ended our flow practice with this pose and everybody was getting into it weird. Some people were putting the bolster under their back and then rolling like this, and then you're not in the right position. So definitely be on your back first, tuck and lift. And then you want to make sure that the bolster comes halfway up the back, includes the sacrum and, the buttocks. But then we'll straighten out the legs, rest on the heels of the feet, fan the arms away with the palms open. So what we're trying to target here, on top of getting an inverted quality with the hips higher than the head and the heart, is opening up the frontal side of the hips. But if that cranks or aggravates your low back, please know that you can bend your knees. And if that still doesn't feel good, just tuck, lift, slide the bolster under your legs. And then you can be in more of the bubbling brook pose. So just play around with it and see if your body is willing to be here. Affirming as you hold. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. I choose to release any stress or worry. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is. I choose to release any stress or worry. Your next in-breath, let's walk the feet back if they're not there already. We'll press the feet down and tuck and lift the tailbone up to slide the bolster from underneath, to lay back down to the spine, and to cup a hold of both knees. Wind release pose. Stacking the hands now on top of the knees. Circle them in small, medium, or large circles. After about 3 to 5 times, reverse it. Close the knees back into self, maintaining some stillness in Apanasana, the wind release pose. Over to one side of the body. Push down into that top hand to come up. And finish this series sitting upright. Let's meditate in silence together. Excuse me, for at least a minute. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Secure in myself, I accept whatever is, but I choose to release any stress or worry. Light in me honors and bows to the beautiful light in each of you. Namaste.